Certified Information System Security Professional or CISSP. Hello, my name is Muhammad Atif and this is an introduction video about CISSP certificate, CISSP exam and CISSP course. Let me start by introducing myself. As I mentioned, my name is Muhammad Atif and I'm a certified CISSP and certified instructor as well, beside other certificate inside the security field. I helped a lot of people to clear their CISSP exam and I deliver the CISSP curriculum more than 35 times. In this presentation, I would like to go through the CISSP. What is exactly a CISSP? What is the value of CISSP certificate? Why the CISSP exam is a little bit difficult and how are we going to solve this problem? Because actually it's not hard, it's just tricky. And unless you have someone to tell you what to consider for the exam, it will be hard to clear. So my objective during this training is to show you the tricky part of the exam. So it's not hard, it's not taking long time, and it can be passed easily. This is what I can guarantee for you. Then we'll be talking about CISSP 3rd and 4th edition. Since April 2015, CISSP has introduced a new curriculum that we will be talking about. But the problem is, question inside the exam still came from the 3rd edition. So how are we going to solve this problem? Are we going to study 3rd or 4th or both of them? So I'm going to explain this part. And finally, I'm going to explain what will be the CISSP course flow. How are we going to explain the CISSP course and how are we going to prepare you to clear your CISSP exam from the first attempt. So let's start by what is a CISSP as a certificate. CISSP or Certified Information System Security Professional. It's one of the certification introduced by an organization called ISC2. And this is one of the biggest non-profit security organization. Now, if you search for CISSP in Wikipedia, you're going to understand the value of this certificate. So it's a certificate that is issued from IC2. But the thing is, it's very, very well recognized and accredited from ANSI, from ISO, from Department of Defense. So if you hold such certificate, it's very, very well recognized in the field of IT security. Actually, one of the highest salary in the security field is for people who's holding CISSP certificate. So if you have this certificate, it's a very big asset and you will be enhancing your career in a very good way. So CISSP, one of the best and most accredited certificate in IT security. Then let's get to our presentation. So excellent, it's a good certificate. And it's well known, it's accredited, fine. This is my certificate. So what is the problem? Why it's kind of challenging? Why not too many people are holding this certificate? The CISSP exam, it's a little bit tricky. And this is why it's very, very important to have someone who have experience in the CISSP exam to tell you what to be doing to be able to clear the exam from the first attempt. So if you just study the course and go to the exam, most probably you're going to fail right away. Because as I told you, questions are tricky. They are not hard. They are not taking time. It's just they are tricky. And definitely you need someone to help you and guide you how to clear the exam. Now, what challenge do we have? Inside the exam? Why not many people are clearing the exam from the first attempt? We have many challenges. Number one, which we're going to solve during this course, it do not just cover the technical security. I mean, a lot of people who are studying CISSP, they came from a technical background, so they think this is a technical exam. CISSP is not a technical exam. Actually, technical is taking 1/3 of this course. And by the way, the course doesn't have any lab, Maybe during the course we're going to give some practical example, just not to be boring, but the course itself, it doesn't have any lab. The course covers different security areas. So it's covering the technical security area, which is fine. It's covering the physical security area, which is a lot of people is not aware of. The type of fire, the type of power problems, the type of physical security, surveillance scams, this kind of thing. A lot of people are not aware of that. They are covering some law and regulation. What is the laws that controlling that? So people who came from a technical background, they will not be able to solve that. And they are covering the administrative security policy and procedures. What is the dual man control? What is the separation of duty policy? What is the... so we will be going through different area, not just one area, because if you just depend on your technical background, this is third of the course. So first challenge that we have inside this exam is that it's covering different security area, because after all, security is not just technical, right? So if you have a technical security and don't have a physical security, it will lead to the same result. Your information will be lost, maybe by theft, maybe by damage, but it will be lost. So we'll be covering this point. The second challenge that we have, it's the amount of terminologies that we have inside this course. So for instance, we have around 35 attacks. We need to have a brief about each one of those. What is a denial of service attack? And actually, denial of service, it's not just one attack. There is like 4 attack-related denial of service. But you don't need to know any of the topics inside this course deep, just a definition. And we did solve this problem by having all those terminology in a small document that you just need to read it. So all the terminology inside this course has been gathering with one small document that I will share with you. And this will be your way for solving this challenge. Number 3 is that you need to practice as much question as you can. It's not about the knowledge. CISSP, there is a very famous saying when it comes to CISSP course. They are saying it's 1 mile deep, 1 mile wide and 1 inch deep. That means it's covering many topics, but for each topic, you just need to have a definition about it. I saw people, when it comes to cryptography, for instance, they go and they buy a book about cryptography and they spend months studying. It's not like that. You just need to know some basics about cryptography, and this is what we'll be doing inside this course. The other challenge that we are facing is that the 3rd edition and the 4th edition. CISSP right now are into the 4th edition since April 2015. But the exam is still on the 3rd edition. And I'm going to show you from where I'm getting the exam feedback, from where I can know that they are still getting the 3rd edition questions. Okay, I will give you the resources to make you prepare for the exam. How people will know that, you know, this is the question, not the real question. What I'm saying is that they are still getting questions from the 3rd edition, not the 4th edition. I'll be showing you that. And how are we going to solve that? We'll be taking both of them. We'll be taking the 3rd edition domains, and by the end of this course, we'll be comparing the 3rd edition with the 4th edition and explaining what will be or what is the new areas that has been added. And they are very small area. So this is the only course that covers the 3rd edition for the exam, and the 4th edition, or actually what has been added on the 4th edition to be able to be aware of the new topics that has been added. And actually only 2 topics, not domain, has been added. I'll be explaining them during this course. And finally, I'll teach you how to bypass those tricks that you may find inside the exam. The exam is tricky. It's not hard at all, just tricky. And how are we going to solve this tricky problem? By the amount of questions that we'll be solving together during this course. So I'll share with you a very important website that has around 1,200 questions and some other resources for question, around 2,000 questions. And it's very important to solve as much question as you can, because this is how you'll be preparing yourself to your exam. So this is the challenge that we'll be solving during this course. As I told you, 3rd edition with 10 domain. We'll be going through all of them, and actually be mainly depending on 3rd edition, because the 4th edition was exactly the same, except they combine domain together. but it's a little bit confusing when you study from the fourth domain, because they are taking different domain together, and sometimes they repeat that in other domains. So what we're going to do, we're going to first start with the third edition, going through the 10 domain. Then by the end of this course, I'm going to go through the fourth edition, but not re-explaining them because they are almost the same topics. I'm just going to compare those two curriculum together and explain whatever the difference that has been introduced inside the fourth edition. So this will be my plan. Now, finally, how we are going to cover this course. I mean, what will be the course flow? What we're going to do, because actually, as I told you, we don't have that much of lab. I may give some practical scenarios or examples, just not to make you feel boring, but how the course will be running. I'll start by explaining the domain, and then I'm going to give you a lecture about the tip and tricks inside this domain. I mean, how should you expect the question about this domain inside the exam? And then we're going to start solving some question together related to this domain. So I'm going to try to teach you or practice you how to figure out the tricky inside the question. This is my plan regarding the CISSP course. So I will do my best to make you clear the exam from the first attempt. And if you enroll this course, I'll be personally involved until I make sure that you clear your exam from the first attempt. And I can guarantee that, but please do not plan to sit for the exam until I tell you you are ready for the exam. So I'll be following up with you. I'll be checking your progress, and I'll make sure that you are ready to clear the CISSP exam. I hope the introduction was informative, and I hope I was able to clear what is this course all about. And I wish to enroll this inside this course, and I'll do my best. This is my promise. I'll do my best to make sure that you clear the exam from the first attempt. Thank you so much.